Peace, love, and light, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Marquita, and if this is your first time joining me, welcome. And to those of you who are returning, welcome back, y'all. This is like take 3 of this production. And listen, I'm not starting over because that defeats the purpose of this challenge that I am on. The purpose of the challenge is for me to show up authentic. The purpose of the challenge is for me to show up authentically, and just be myself, unfiltered. I decided that I'm not going to edit anything out, but me starting over is me editing myself. And I want to be, I want to see the growth that occurs over the course of the next 365 days. I am a Virgo. And for anybody who knows, Virgos are perfectionists, okay? But that perfectionistic tendency is the reason why I have not been consistent in the past. And I'm just not doing that no more. I want to be consistent. I want to continue to show up. I want to continue to, just be authentic and just I don't have to filter or edit myself, because we are human, like in a normal conversation, right? Because this is a normal conversation. We make and we fumble over our words and we make mistakes and we don't know the words. We don't know how to put things in. These are human ways of being. And this, not editing myself, will help me continue to strengthen my voice. And that is the whole point of it. The point of it is to I have a few different points for going on this journey. The journey is to document my journey. If it isn't just to be documented just for myself, it's for me to document my journey and for me to see how far I can come and how much I can grow over the course of a year. Two, it is for me just to have some real conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just for me to have some conversations, and whoever aligns with whatever I'm saying, they get it. You know what I'm saying? You get it. You understand. Um, and three, it is just for me to show up. For me to show up. For me to be consistent. I talked yesterday on my podcast because if y'all don't know, shameless plug, I have a podcast. It is called Alchemy Soul, and it can be streamed on Amazon, Amazon, Apple Music, and Spotify. And I talked on my episode yesterday about how consistency is definitely spiritual. This is a spiritual walk that I'm on. Overall, I'm a very spiritual person. But this decision to remain consistent is because it's spiritual. It's not about me. Before, I allowed myself to be inconsistent because my ego was leading. My ego was leading me in a way of like keeping me safe. But now I am allowing spirit to lead me. And spirit is leading me in a way of, hey, get this structure, stay consistent. Somebody is going to hear you. Somebody will listen eventually. Somebody will resonate eventually. And that's all. And I always say this because I'm a huge believer in the fact that I am going to win the lottery one day. I believe it. It's happening. Like, I've had this since I was a kid, right? But if I could say, all you have to do is show up consistently every day for 1 year and you will win the lottery at the end of this. I have to put it into that context all the time because I know that this is my purpose, right? And I know that when you first start out doing things, it is not always going to be clear. It is not always going to be perfect. It is not always, you're not always going to have the right angles. You're not always going to have the right lighting. You're not always going to be able to articulate things in a way that you would like over time. Now, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you won't always be very clear and articulate in whatever you're saying. And so I say all that to say, like, this is a very spiritual, walk that I'm on. This showing up every day is very purposeful for a number of different reasons. And it's not about me. It's about me, but it ain't about me at the end of the day. Like, It's about y'all. But anyway, I say all of that to say today I am going to be talking about the lessons that I learned from my experience in Thailand. And I wanted to highlight the fact that pause, let's take a break. I want to highlight my experiences from Thailand, like the things that I learned, the lessons that I learned, and the reason why I am deciding to, revisit this story. For one, yesterday I said that I would, and I figured, well, why not today? But for two, I am about to begin my nomadic journey internationally. And so I've learned a lot since then. But a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about now, and the reason why I'm leaving again, is very different from what you would probably really see a lot of people talk about. Like a lot of the reasons why people are fleeing and moving abroad are very practical and very realistic, and I understand. But I think for myself personally, the reason why I'm leaving is because it's aligned. Not to say it's not aligned for other people, but sometimes we have to become aware of whether we are escaping or expanding. And I had to ask myself that too. I'm like, am I escaping or is this expansion? Can they both exist? Because maybe the escape will help you expand. But there is a saying of like, the grass is not always greener on the other side. Meaning, like, if you haven't really like embodied and learned your lessons here and created good habits and realizations and understanding of yourself here, you are just going to go to another country and experience the same thing. So that literally leads me right into my experience when I was in Thailand. When I went to Thailand, I went in 2023. My daughter was 18 months at the time. And for me, my reasons for wanting to leave America were very egocentric, right? Like they were very egocentric. And I mean that in a way of the reason why I left was because one, now I'm a single mom. Two, I was nomadic before I had my daughter. I got pregnant in the midst of me nomading. I just wanted to continue on with my dream, right? Three, I didn't want to struggle. I didn't want to be a struggling single mother. And four, I just felt like my way of living and the luxuries that I felt like I needed as a single mom, I would be able to experience them with with ease in another country. And so originally I planned to go to Costa Rica. Like Costa Rica was like the plan. Like I had a place lined up and everything in Gracia, Costa Rica. I was going. Like I was going. And I still think sometimes if I would have stayed on that trajectory, because it's a reason why things were moving like with ease with that option. And I think that if I would have stayed on that path, then maybe I would still be out of the country. Who knows? We don't know. Like our ego comes in and we, try to get in the way of what spirit has for us, and we have to go on another path. We have to go a different way, and we have to learn our lessons about, staying committed to what is presented or veering off, right? So I learned my lessons, and I'm gonna tell y'all what those lessons were. So I went to Thailand. And I went to Thailand because I had a homeboy. He was out there and he had been out there for some time. He had been living out there for a long time. And I always wanted to go to Thailand. Like I always wanted to go. I never went before I moved there. And so I allowed him to talk me into moving to Thailand for different reasons. One, he was there, right? So you're talking about now I have a friend, I have a support system that I know and have known for years. Okay, cool, great. Two, he talked me into it because he's like, your money is going to go way longer here for a longer period of time than in Costa Rica. Logical, right? Like that is a very logical and rational reason. But there is a difference between logic and like spirit. Like there is a difference between logic and intuition, right? Like it is different. Are you moving in logic? Because what makes sense and what you feel on the inside for yourself is not always going to be logical, right? Like it's not always going to be logical. If you're moving intuitively, if you're moving with spirit being the leader of the decisions and spirit knowing, you know, everything that they have laid out along the path for you to go down this journey, because you don't always know, you don't have to see it, you just have to go. And I just feel like, you know, logic came in, and like I said, I'm a Virgo. I'm a Virgo, and Virgos are very logical. They can be in a very logical mind. Um, I just went silent. I went to silent because it felt more logical, and so I got to Thailand. My daughter, like I said, was 18 months at the time. When I got there, I experienced so much resistance. I experienced a lot of resistance. I first went to the island of Koh Phangan. I went to Koh Phangan first. Um, and it was okay. It was a landing pad though. It was a landing pad for me because my homeboy, he wasn't there. But because it was such a long journey, you had to get on a ferry to go to the island where he was at, which he was at Koh Samui. And I was like, yeah, we just gonna hang out on Koh Phangan because we need to rest. And so we went to me and my daughter. We went to Koh Phangan. We stayed in Koh Phangan for I think a week, maybe 10 days or something like that. And we allowed our bodies to reset and get on the regiments, like on the time with um, Thailand. And yeah, that's what happened. We got there, and what I can remember from that experience, it was a very chill experience. Like it was a pretty calm, few days. Like our bodies reset, and we did what we intended to do. Um, After that, we went to Koh Samui, and I think this is when I started to really like realize how challenging it could be to travel around with, a toddler, um, in all of the bags, you know, because we had to get on that ferry to get over there. And so we went over there, and I just remember that when we first went over, it was like a dirt road or something like that. Like it was a dirt road that we had to walk down. And the Airbnb was nice, but it was like in the back, and it was like dirt and chickens, and it was very country like. And I was like, huh, this can be peaceful. This can be peaceful. But I kind of started to feel like I'm like, this is not for me. Like this is not me. Like I need convenience, and I need roads, and I need, like I need infrastructure. Like I needed infrastructure. And so I had my things about that. Like I wasn't feeling comfortable. I wasn't feeling secure. Okay. And then I went and I got an Airbnb. The Airbnb was, kind of expensive, but I just needed to get something for the time being. He was like, get something for the time being, and then when you get over here, then we can go and find you some other places. But it wasn't happening fast enough. Like I needed to be in a place. I needed to have a resting place. I needed to be secure. I needed to know where my daughter was gonna sleep. In addition to, she needed her own room. That's how I felt. Like she was 18 months, she's sleep trained, she needed her own room. She can't sleep in the bed with me. And that's how I felt. And so then I looked on Airbnb, and I found another place for a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. And this is where I realized that my American mindset and my American needs were traveling with me, because we got the 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and it was nice. It was really nice, but it was all the way up on the hill. meaning that every time, like the Ubers and stuff like that, the moped taxi drivers, they would not go up there. So that meant that every time we went up and went down, I had to carry Divine with me up and down. And food wasn't convenient. Like they didn't have Grab and those different things on this island. And so I stayed in Koh Samui. I don't know how long I stayed there. I must have stayed there like probably like 2 weeks. I was like, I told my homeboy, I'm like, this is not for me. It felt too much like a vacation. It didn't feel like I was there to live. And my money was going so fast, just like I was on a vacation because of the things that not just me, but the things that my daughter needed to feel safe, or what I felt she needed to feel safe, like almond milk. I remember almond milk being one of the biggest things because she was still drinking milk at night at that time. And finding almond milk, talking about, for a little carton thing of almond milk, probably like $7 or something like that. So money was like going fast because of the things that I still felt that we needed in order to be comfortable. So I left. After 2 weeks, I saw my homeboy. I'm like, yo, no. I did more research and I went to Chiang Mai. I love Chiang Mai. Like, it is so beautiful. Like, if I go back to Thailand to live, I'm going to Chiang Mai. Granted, I haven't went to a lot of places. I have never been to Bangkok. I've never been to Pattaya or any of the other popular cities in Thailand. But Chiang Mai was for me, and I know it was for me because I love greenery. They had so many beautiful parks and so many beautiful mountains, and it was just beautiful. And so that's me. And so we went to Chiang Mai, and I got us a place for a couple of weeks. It was just a room. It was a hotel, and I got my bearings. I just took my time, and I put Divine in a daycare, and I found me a place to stay. 2 bedroom, 2 bath. No, it was a two. Was it a 2 bedroom, 2 bath? Yep, it was a 2 bedroom, 2 bath in Chiang Mai. I don't know the region or the area. I just know that it was a mall across the street from where we lived, and I was happy. I was happy with my choice and my decision. I began to build, a routine for myself, and but time was while all this was happening, time was dwindling down. And at that time, you could only have a 30-day tourist visa, and you had to get another 30 days. And I think that they actually have gone back to that now. So, but somebody had said that they were at 60 and they can get another 30. So now they're back to the 60 tourist day visa with 30, and then having to go and redo it and get another stamp at 30. And so time was running down. I was like, this can be chaotic real fast. And little did I know at that time, I was still very deep into postpartum depression. And my daughter, she would go and I would take her to daycare, and then I would come back and I would be very depressed. I would cry. I would, just spend my days doing nothing. My nervous system probably was still, trying to reset and adapt to the culture, of course, but I just felt like it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot of new food. It was a lot of language barriers. It was a lot of just new energy, right? And that on top of postpartum depression, I was like, I gotta go home. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe. Oh, I remember one day, and I think that's probably like one of my breaking points, because my daughter, she got sick, and how you got into the like the how you got into the apartment was something. I think you had to have a key card or something like that. And I went downstairs to get my daughter's medicine. We went downstairs to get the medicine, and I think I locked the key card in the apartment, and I didn't have a backup. And it was early in the morning, which meant that I couldn't get in touch with the landlord very fast. And I sat in that hallway with my daughter, sitting right next to me, and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. I was like, I'm not in the mental space to handle this. I need support. I felt like I was too far away from my support systems, but I didn't feel like that I wanted to give up on a nomadic part of my journey. So I went back to Thailand. I mean, not to Thailand. I went back to the States. I stayed in the States for a little bit. I took my daughter back to her dad, and I went to Colombia. I went to Colombia. Colombia is a lot closer. It's like a 5 hour, it's like a 5 hour plane ride. And I fell in love. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like that was the plan. I was like, I'm going to do this. We are going to do this. I looked at a place and everything, and it was with every intention within me to go back to the States after I did my 60-day stay in Medellin, Colombia. It was with great intention for me to come back and then go back. But the finances were not there anymore. The finances were gone. All of the money that I had and had saved, like it was gone. And I had to be real with myself on what I felt that it took and what I felt that I needed in order to make this nomad journey abroad a success. And those are some things that I want to, highlight for you all, who are thinking about moving abroad. I think that it's easy to go down a rabbit hole of looking at tons of videos of people who are escaping the matrix, looking at tons of videos of people who are expating and immigrating abroad. It's a beautiful experience. It's a very beautiful experience. The things that other cultures are experiencing are a hell of a lot lighter than the things that we experience here in America. And it goes far beyond the financial aspect of it. It goes down to the nervous system. It goes down to the hate that we experience, the lack of safety that we experience as Black women or as Black people. It goes down to, just the energy that the people hold. Everybody is so angry. Everybody is so impatient. Everybody just wants fast, fast, fast results, myself included. I have those habits too. I can say that I've had to catch myself several times when I've been traveling. I'd be like, girl, calm down. Like, why are you in a rush? Like, just calm down. Like, it's not that serious. Like, why you what? So it's just I understand. I understand. But what I would say for those of you who are considering, relocating and have a plan and, have things in place for yourself to escape the matrix or to move out of the United States. For one, you can do it. It's not that big of a it's not that big of a if you've ever so I'll say you this. If you've ever moved states before, you can move out of the country. Because essentially it's the same thing. Because when you move to a new state, you have to learn the culture. Every city has its own culture. Really, every neighborhood has its own culture, to be honest, if you really paid attention. But I'll just go city. Every city has its own culture. Every state has its own culture, and every country has its own culture, and so on and so forth. So it's like if you it's not that big of a leap. I'm just saying that you can do it. You can do it. It's not that big of a, not to say it's not that big of a deal, but it's not that daunting. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that daunting. Like you really can, if you just make a decision, you make a plan, you can move out of the country within the next, 3 months. It's not even that yeah. I think that a lot of times we allow the projected realities that everybody else is, talking about stop us from experiencing our own life and our own reality. I see a lot of things about just personal experiences of things that people have experienced in different places around the world. And I always say that it's all subjective. What you experience, what one individual person experienced traveling to a country is not the same thing that another person, experiences. Like everybody's going to have their own individual challenges and things that they have to overcome in order to make whatever it is a reality. And it don't matter what it is, like everybody is going to have their own individual things that they have to overcome in order to make something a reality. I mean, yes, like there are generalized things that we can say, right? Like we can say, oh, Thai people, we know Thai people are nice. They are so sweet. They have good energy and so on and so forth. Like those are generalities. But the same difference of, somebody can have an individual experience of going somewhere and experiencing a racist type person, and experiencing racism in Thailand. And there you go. Okay. Now Thailand is racist. It's not. Like, it's just not. So I think that I'm a big proponent on making sure that you understand your journey and your individual things that you have to overcome in order to make this a reality is not always going to be the same thing. I think that a lot of people allow money to be their biggest obstacle to not making a leap. And I talked earlier about logic versus intuition, right? Like at some point you have to walk in the unknown. You have to embrace the unknown. And you have to trust that your higher power, whatever you believe in, is always going to be a support system to you. And that's the biggest lesson that I've learned, like from the time that I've come back all the way up until this very moment in time. The biggest lesson that I have learned is that everything is always working out for me. Even if I went again and had to come back again, is still on the path. Everything is still always working out for me. There is nothing that is occurring in my life or in my reality that God or spirit doesn't want to see me belong. The universe got your back. God got your back. Your ancestors got your back. Like there's all of this culmination of energy that is here to support us. There is the only way that you fail at anything is if you never try, right? So I just feel like try. If you try and then you have to come back, you did it. You did something that 90% of people will never have the courage of doing. So I'm a big person of like, just do it, just do it. That is one of my biggest lessons of like, I don't regret going, and I don't regret none of it. I hardly ever regret anything in my life. I don't think I have any regrets. But from 2023 all the way up until now, that has been one of my biggest lessons of like everything is always going to be working out for me. And the reason why I say that is because I came back when I came back, obviously, when I left, I sold everything. I didn't have nothing. So when I came back, I was really unstable. Like I had to essentially, essentially, I had to couch surf for a while. I did couch surfing with various friends and family. And even in those moments, things were working out for me. I was still supported. I still had a place to lay my head. One night I slept in my car. That was the only night that I slept in my car. And even in that time of me sleeping in my car, I was still grateful because I was like, I got a car to sleep in. I got a car to sleep in. That's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And so even in that regard, like that was working out for me. That was working for me in that moment and at that time. There is never like I just believe that there's never anything occurring that is working against you. And although at that time I felt that I was really struggling, I had a lot of things that I was overcoming and learning about myself during that time. I still feel, now in hindsight that I needed to experience that in order for me to know that now going out again that I am fully supported. So, yeah, I came back and I was couch surfing that one night. I surrendered. I remember having this conversation with spirit. I was like, listen, I know everything working out for me. And I might have cried through it. And I was like, I know, I know, I just know for a fact that you're not about to have me out here like this. And I literally, because sometimes I think that we be forgetting, like, you can just have this conversation with spirit or with God or with your higher power, and you don't have to put on a filter when it comes to it, because you can just talk normally, because that is your authentic self. And so I had that conversation. I was like, listen, I just know that you're not about to have me out here like this. I just don't even believe that you would have me be homeless for real. Like, that ain't, I've put in work. Like, I put in magic, I put in time, I put in energy, I've been a steward, I've helped other people. Absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. The next day I was Ubering and I got a house sitting gig, something that I hadn't been thinking about for a very long time. House sitting. I got a last minute house sitting gig. The girl was like, I need you to come today. And talking about money and housing, all within less than 24 hours. She was like, I need you to come today. Absolutely. And from there, it jumped off. That's where it started. It started like from there. I mean, it wasn't like it started, but I went down a long period of like house sitting. And I was making decent money, and I was living non-traditionally. I didn't have rent or anything to pay. And that was the most, during that time in my life, that was the most freeing and supportive or supported experience that I have ever felt in my life, because I realized that I didn't have to do a whole lot in order to live, and that I could actually live and it not be burdensome, or I could actually live and my time and my energy not be all taken up by some corporation, right? So it was a very liberating experience. And after that, I I remember one day I was at a house sitting gig. I had decided. I was like, I don't want to do house sitting no more. I don't want to do this no more. I was like, I want my own place. That was where I was at. I was like, I want my own place. I wanted to settle down. I wanted to have a home to go to, and yeah, I just didn't want to keep bouncing around at that point, because it was happening way too frequently. You're talking about moving from house to house to house over a course of 3 to 4 days. Sometimes I would have 2 weeks days. Sometimes I would have 10 days. It was just very different. And so I was like, I'm exhausted from this. I don't want to do it. So I had started telling people that I had started telling clients that I had built rapport with. I'm like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. This is my last day. I'm moving. I started saying I'm moving. I didn't know I was gonna move. I didn't know. I didn't know. But I said it. I put it into play. I put the energy out there. I was like, this is what's happening. And then shortly after, I got a contract. It was a strike happening in California. And I mean, if anybody knows, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And if anybody knows anything about strikes in California, baby, they pay. They pay. And I did not know at that time that that strike was an open ended strike. That strike went on for 8 months. I left at 6 months though, because I was like, I'm tired. I was tired. Like, I don't want to do this no more. So I had the choice in saying I don't want to do it no more. And that's always liberating. For somebody like me, I need to be able to always feel like I have a choice to bow out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want, that's another reason why I'm like, I'm not a person that needs a traditional life, because a traditional life here in the United States keep you in the rat race. And I don't want to be in a rat race. I don't want it. Like, I just don't want it. Like I don't want to feel boxed in any kind of way. And I feel like that's what the rat race does. The rat race keeps you boxed in dependence on that paycheck every single week or every single month or every 15th and 30th or every 2 weeks. It keeps you in that cycle. And I'm not, it's not me. I'm not that person. And so um I left after 6 months, but that 6 month period of time, although it felt like a sacrifice at that time, it was a sacrifice because I sacrificed my health. Um, it set me up, like financially, set me up. Like I was set. I didn't work none last year. I didn't work at all in 2025. And that's a blessing, right? Like, not a lot of people can just be like, I didn't work the whole year. And I mean, I didn't do anything. I think I might have taken 2 house sitting gigs the whole year. Um, yeah. And I got my house, right? Like, because that was one of the things that I wanted. Oh, I put a candle on it too. That's what I was gonna say. Before I got that 6 month contract, I was at the house sitting gig. I put a candle. I wrote out what I wanted, and that was the first time I had ever put a candle on it. So I tell y'all, I'm a person. I'm a spiritual person. I believe in the magic and alchemy of all things: earth, wind, not earth, air, fire, and water. I believe in all of the elements to, bring to you whatever you desire. And so I put a candle on it. I wrote out what I want and I put a candle on it. A couple of days later, I got that. I got the contract and I stayed there for 6 months, a year, didn't work for a full year. And then I was like restless. I was like, I don't want to live here no more. I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I got the house. And I really thought I had a plan. I was like, I'm gonna sit down for 2 years, and I'm gonna stay here for 2 years so I can allow myself to build some friendships and some connections and some resources and all of that. I started getting restless. Around the 6 month mark, and I was like, I don't want to live here no more. It's boring. It's too slow. I was like, I'm ready to go. And so I decided, I was like, I'm moving to California. Same thing. I sold all my things. I sold everything. I was like, I don't want none of this stuff. And I moved to California. I went to San Diego first. I hit my friend up and I was like, hey, like, can you give me a contract? I was like, I wanted to work because now I wanted to support this lifestyle that I wanted to create in San Diego or in California. So she put me on. She got me a contract, a very good paying contract, in California, and that didn't work out. That was like the breaking point for me, and that's the reason why I'm diligent about being consistent now. Is because along the journey, there comes a point where you have to be really honest with yourself about what you are supposed to be doing. I am a very introspective and self-aware person. Like I'm extremely conscious, right? Like I know myself through and through. And I know myself in a way of not only just, through experiences, but I also know myself through my birth chart. And my birth chart only just confirms what I already know. And even when I go and get readings and stuff like that, that is just confirming what I already know energetically and at my soul. And so when I, when I before I okay, before I got there, I was like, girl, why? Why? Like why? And the reason why I was saying why is just because I know myself. Like, I don't know. But what I thought, and this is where logic and ego against spirits and intuition comes into play. Again, something within me was like, you don't want to do this. Like, you don't want to do this. Why don't you just do what you want to do? Like, why don't you just do what you want to do. I had to figure out that money is going to come and it's going to flow to me in the ways that are non-traditional, because that's the lifestyle I live. And I had to accept the fact that things flow to me when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, when I'm teaching, when I'm speaking, when I'm showing up like this. Another reason why I think, I was able to get that contract that lasted 6 months or whatever, is because that whole summer when I was just pet sitting, I was also creating content. I was speaking. I started building my following on TikTok and, just different things. I was just showing up and being in front of the camera. And I think that that was my reward, because I was able to do nothing for an entire year after that. But I say all that to say that, what was my point right then? I came back. Oh, the job. I feel like Spirit was like, like, don't do it. Didn't I tell you? Like, I just feel like it was a slap on the hand of, girl, stop reaching back. Stop reaching back to what you have always known. Stop reaching back. Like, this part of your journey is not going to be supported by the old you and the old ways of doing things. And because I was like, I want to buy a house. I was like, I want to buy a house. The reason why I said I wanted to buy a house wasn't for me to live in it. I wanted to buy a house so that I can have investments so I can travel the world. And Spirit was like, absolutely not. This is not your path. This is not the way that we want you to do things. And the reason why I say that is because 2 weeks later, I got fired, and a reason was never given to me on why I got fired. Like, I just got fired for no reason, and I did what I was supposed to do. Um, the reason why I got fired is because I'm black and I'm a black woman. Period, point blank. And that's the reason why I'm like, get me out of the United States, because people see black women as threats when we are just literally walking in our power and being our most authentic selves. And they see us as a threat. They see us as a threat because we're powerful, very powerful. And so it's just, because I just think back to that situation, like, what could it have been? What could it have been outside of I was my most authentic self? I don't allow, people to be disrespectful towards me. I'm never going to be disrespectful towards anybody else, but I'm also not going to I'm just going to show up as myself, and that's a threat to some people. And so anyway, I got right from there, and I was like, all right, Spirit. I came back to Atlanta. Why I come back to Atlanta? I don't know. I got back here and I was like, okay, I'm here. Within the first couple of weeks of being here, I fell into a depression all over again. And I was like, the energy in this city is not something that I wish to revisit. And in fact, it has gotten a lot worse. My nervous system is all over the place. I'm extremely anxious, and I'm not depressed, but I am very anxious being here, and I don't feel safe. And so I was like, all right, like, it's time for me to go again. But I had to. The reason why I'm here is because I had to finally accept this is where my spiritual awakening began. I had to also accept that this is where my daughter is. I had to also accept that this is where a lot of the trauma, the shame, the regrets, the like just the different things that kind of was weighing on me, and the reason why I couldn't fully embody like this speaking and this creating part of my life. um I had to finally come to the conclusion of that part of me was birthed here. Like, I got my LCSW here, and I became this woman here, but that woman that I am, or that I was at that time, is not the woman that is carrying me forward. I now understand and I now know that I can live an unconventional life and I can do things differently from what I've been taught as a child and what I've been taught all throughout my 20s. I can live a life that is far different from what I have ever experienced or witnessed growing up, and I can be fully supported and carried through it. And that is what the summer of, or the time when I was pet sitting in 2024, that is what that taught me. It taught me that you are going to be carried and supported no matter what. Like, but if you actually do what I asked you to do, if you be obedient, right? And I don't even like using that word because that's very, I'm not a religious person. And that's very like Christian like lens. But I'm gonna, for lack of better words right now, I'm gonna use it. If you be obedient to what you know you are supposed to be doing, you are going to be rewarded and you are going to be supported. And so if you feel a calling, if you feel a calling to exit the United States, not just from trying to escape, but because you feel like on the other side of it, you are going to birth a new version of yourself and you are going to expand. I say do it. I say do it. Even sight unseen. Sight unseen. I say go for it because at the end of the day, the things are going to work out for you and they are probably going to work out for you way better than you could ever imagine. Now, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what is about to occur when I step foot outside of this country and stay in the trajectory of what I think I'm supposed to be doing or what spirit is leading me into. I don't know. But I do know that it's going to be amazing. I know that. I know it's going to be amazing. And so you all get to experience it with me. You get to go down the journey with me. You get to see what I learned. You get to see what I like and what I dislike. And, I'm going to be here at least for the next 364 days. I will be right here documenting the entire journey. So, yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. That was really good. I really needed to talk through that. And so I'm glad I was able to revisit that and kind of piece together, I guess, the overarching lesson because there could be many lessons in there, but I think that there was one big one, and it's the fact that you will be supported when and if you walk in your purpose, when and if you decide to do what you are called to do. And that's all I got. Peace, love, and light, beautiful souls. Oh, that was good.